Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. The first match of the night, Okami taking on LFO, done and dusted, 7-4 in the favour of Okami. We all predicted, bar Raven, I will say, that it was going to be an LFO matchup and they were going to be able to take it, but unfortunately for them, the ball slipped, and by all things considered, Enigma, it felt like there was a sense of unease toward the end of that interview with how the team performed.
Yeah, he didn't seem too happy, but I think a lot of it comes down to the pressure they now have upon themselves to try to close out the season with perfect results. Otherwise, they are going to be facing that relegation situation.
Yep, for sure. Well, let's have a look. Let's move on directly. It's going to be the Knights taking on Noble. First, we'll have a look at the Knights matchup. It will be Dino, Haywood, Juicy, Josh, and Sagey on Sage. Have we figured it out yet? Have we come to a conclusive decision?
Look, I actually don't think so, but I'm just going to go with Sajin because that feels like it's the most natural when I read it. But speaking of the man, look, he has been having a pretty good debut with the Knights. They have not lost a game as a team, and he has looked pretty comfy. He hasn't really had a bit of a fitting in period. It just looks like it looks like he's been there for ages.
And I think we could also, if you can tell that storyline, the storyline I'm going to tell is it the honeymoon period? Is it all the glamour? We've all been there. We've all been in an early relationship, in a team or a person, and all of a sudden things go south. Could this be the Night Raven? That's the real question, because these two teams have had extremely close encounters in the past.
Absolutely, you're right. And it could be that moment. This is the Knights' probably toughest opponent they've faced so far this season, given that Noble is in also fantastic form. So definitely clash of the Titans of this season at least, both undefeated at the top.
Undefeated, you were talking about Noble, of course. They are going to be headed up against the Knights. An 8-7 win on Cafe against Wildcard. Quite a notable performance on the night. They'll need to back it up here again. Milo, Fisher Guy, Nico, Derp, and of course, President. Now, I think that, I was going to say, and Coach. No Coach. And I really have to admit that Noble have come out swinging. All three of their matches have gone the full regulation, Ferox, Wildcard, and LFO, and they've been able to convert each and every matchup. I think that is saying something in itself.
Yeah, some big results too. I mean, that win over Wildcard is definitely nothing to sneeze at all. Fisher Guy in particular, he has had a very good season for Noble, and that win against Wildcard, Fisher Guy was instrumental. So keep your eyes out for him tonight, because I think he could again be the X factor, or the win condition, if you want to call it that, for Noble being able to take out the Knights.
For sure. Now, very quickly, would you like to have a stab in the dark as to where we're going for the maps?
I wouldn't be too surprised about Cafe or Clubhouse is what I'm kind of leaning towards for these ones. Maybe a surprise though. Villa is a strong map for Noble, so if Knights are feeling confident, that might slip through.
Well, we can have a look at where we are going to head. I think that, very quickly, just to summarize before we get to the end of the veto stage, 6 matches have been played between these two teams, and 5 of them have gone the full regulation. So this season is incredibly close, and we expect nothing different tonight. Clubhouse is where we will end up, Raven. Thoughts?
Very common map for these guys. If you were watching from before the show started, actually in the countdown, you would have seen a very banger of a match between these guys from Sixth Masters. It went 8-7, and it was won off a clutch in a post-plant situation by then Sinister, which is the current Noble roster. Big game. It was a big game last season, and I think if that's anything to go by, and the fact that these guys are both at the top of the table, undefeated, I feel confident that we're in for quite a banger as well. I wouldn't be surprised by overtime.
To be honest, if it doesn't go to overtime, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. Now, let's bring up the predictions from the Snowball panel. I think that this will be quite... I was actually just about to say that it could potentially be divided, but it is the clear consensus that Noble should be able to come out on top. But we are saying this is going to be close. This is the top of the table clash. And realistically, it's anyone's game, Raven.
Yeah, look, I think this is going to be a very, very close match. I'm also very surprised that we are not more split in the predictions. I'll be honest with you, in our internal Ubisoft predictions, I flip-flopped. I went for Knights. So I think either way, I'm going to be a winner in terms of predictions here. But it's just the nature of the game. I think this game in particular is going to be very tough to call.
Yeah, no, for sure. And history of these two teams dating back to Six Masters, 7-8 on Clubhouse. It was Noble's favor, as you were saying before, Raven. And of course, we actually saw them in Six Masters playoff where Knights came out in the best of 3-2-1. So I think that this one is sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. You will not want to go anywhere. You definitely will not want to miss this. And of course, as always, good luck, have fun.
Very important part of starting a game is to say good luck, have fun. You know, if you don't say it, then it's a bad omen straight out of the bat. So you got to make sure you say that kind of stuff.
Don't want to be disrespectful, you know. Got to give the love in Sledge being banned out. Raven. I don't think I've really seen that in the ANZ region. So, well, not that I can recall on Clubhouse, unless I'm incorrect.
Well, last Friday in general, we saw a few Sledge bans. It is something that has started to creep up a little bit more. I'm going to be honest, I said it last week as well. I'm not fully clear on the exact rationale behind it. I mean, he's very helpful with soft breach, as well as bringing those frag grenades. So it could be just a fact of forcing your opponent to bring other forms of soft breach and other operators with frag grenades that maybe aren't quite as helpful in terms of their main utility or their main gadget.
Well, they're definitely going to be put into a tricky situation for both of these teams as Buck and Sledge are off the board. Mushroom will wait to follow. So we've seen overtime on this map twice for these teams, and anything short of that, I think will be disappointing, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I would say so. I think these bans, especially because I've just been thinking about it, the Knights are the ones that banned the Buck. They are attacking first, and that just gives such a huge shortage of soft breach. So you have to be bringing a lot of breach charges, frag grenades to try and clear utility. They banned, or the Maestro is gone, so I mean, that's one thing you don't have to worry about. But here we are. Noble is bringing the Malusi, for example. So Banshees are going to be tough to clear because you don't have... Well, you might use the Zofia, but just in general, you're in a shortage of soft breach right now.
Down to the basement. Soft breaching, as we said, going to be a tricky point, and to be honest, it was only this week that we were talking to Nico about his Buck plays on Clubhouse. So yeah, it is something that it does interest me a lot. This will be something to keep your eye on throughout the match. Obviously, the community vote at home, ladies and gentlemen, you can have your say at Rainbow6ANZ on socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You guys think is going to be the favor of the Pittsburgh Knights? And to be honest, I could potentially see why. This one is sure to go the distance. It's sure to be close.
10 seconds to insertion.
And it will be put under the pump from the very beginning, Raven.
It will. So let's see what they go. The ban of the Buck, as Ollie said, we spoke to Nico about it. It's become a very big part of the way that Noble have attacked, because he was saying he's been bringing the DMR because it's really good extra destructibility. He can use that DMR ammo to open hatches and even line of sight, so he can save the skeleton key. So I feel like that is what the Knights have leaned into right now, that they are just trying to make some discomfort for Noble because they've been so used to that luxury. We'll have to see what happens in the second half, though, because that is when Noble will be on the attack.
Yep. In fact, we will. Now, I feel like Thatcher being left on is something that we haven't seen a hell of a lot of, if I'm being completely honest, but it will be free to do so, if you will. Now, Noble happy to keep the pressure, the pump on. Will they be able to catch anything on the outside? No, in fact, Haywood was waiting for it, and he will at least find one. They're getting a little bit too hungry there. Nico does trade out on the Oryx.
Yeah, quick early trade in that first minute. Very important that this roam clear is dealt with early because it will really stall you out from getting progress on the site. Josh not wanting to overextend. He's playing very patient around this cache door. Maybe starting to second guess if that Oryx is even still there. So this drone doesn't seem, it does, and Nico is going to rotate out a pretty unconventional way, but I like it.
He's not interested in sticking around, and you do somewhat love it. Oh, hello, Nico with a new position, and unfortunately, he will be caught out on the rotate. Not particularly new in the meta, I should say, but oh, Fisho, caught out main stairs. Juicy, bada bim, bada boom. They are dismantling Noble, sorry, one by one.
Nobo.
4v3, Raven. and Nico is low.
Nico is low, so this is definitely going to be a tough round for Noble to be able to stick out. The Knights have a lot of map control now. They inflicted a lot of damage. So I think Knights are looking pretty solid right now in the first round. Of course, it is only round number 1. Just noticing the beautiful gloves there on Josh's Zofia. That is the TSM weapon skin. And look, I think if you have not checked out the esports team skins, charms, and all that kind of thing, you should have a sus because they look pretty great.
Certainly do. Nico and President left in a 2 versus 4 to try and clean up here. Nico under the church table, and he will get one, but of course being caught out. There's a lot of ways for them to be able to shut President out in this round, and it will just purely come down to gunfire. Knights will take round number 1, convincingly so, with 3 players left alive.
Yes, it was pretty convincing. That roam clear worked out very effectively by the Knights. Nico potentially could have just gone back to site instead of trying to recontest in kitchen. Could have changed the outcome ever so slightly, but it's really hard to say. Knights pretty successful on those attacks. Noble are not going to repeat that bomb site either. They're just going to rotate straight to CCTV and cash.
Not interested at all. Potentially being caught. Derp 6 picking on to the Valk. As this was the site that caused us one of possibly the greatest moments in ANZ match history, at least in the final round, Raven. Something to remember, as you highlighted in the pre-show. It was spicy nevertheless. So Knights off with a very good start. That was a very convincing round at that. How will Noble react? And will they be given the opportunity to? We've seen Knights do some serious damage recently. But of course, capitalizing on a team of this stature certainly will be forced to contest at the very least. No easy wins out here.
No, I think this is important for Noble just to stay in touch because the Knights, they looked very strong in that first round. Only 1 round deep though, so hard to make conclusions. But I just think important for Noble to stay in touch because attacks shouldn't be straightforward. I think the fact that Sledge and Buck are gone will have some kind of impact at least to make some of these attacks quite difficult, especially for Noble, as we said, where they've leaned on Buck very heavily.
Sure to be something that will play an effect in that second half, and with this now they will burn through those ADSs. Josh going to be underneath as they start to look to open that wall up. Will President be able to outplay them? Sophia ready for the trick, of course. Nicely timed. President, I don't know whether he got that in time. He will be forced to back away, and the wall CC is open and free for business.
Yeah, definitely left it too late. Maybe he didn't have to play that close. Could have played a bit deeper. CCTV was not being pressured at all. Either way, at least he didn't die. He was able to get away. Didn't even get hurt. But nothing too lost, but that is definitely a big part of attacking this successfully is getting that wall open.
Yep. You do love to see it. Knights, with only a minute 15 off the board, have not only opened CCTV, but also Garage. So now a little bit more pressure on Milo, of course. Great Cam to give him a little bit more intel there. Nico from underneath as well. Will he be able to support in Milo's escape, or potentially Milo's double down and hold? He will be flushed out for now. And will he get away? He does do so with his life. No, in fact, it's Josh that denies him on the CCTV wall. And Nico has gone unnoticed, Raven.
He has gone unnoticed, and he's just going to try and time his strike here. He can try and hold the stairs, which looks like the Knights are unaware of. This could come back to bite them in this late round push-up. Gonna be Dino that's gonna be walking past the ladder first. No, they're just tickling with it. Nico misses the shots too, Matic. But he finally gets the answer. Dino taken off. That's the Habana. Makes it a 4 versus 3.
Oh my word, how was he found a second there? Sage thought it was clear. And Nico progresses and continues to play with the hearts of Knights. Haywood being caught in the similar position as now. Knights go a little bit deeper on site. Now there's a potential for a plant. They still, of course, need to be careful as Haywood takes down Nico. Derp is the only player left, and Juicy held that line for so long. It won't matter, though. Josh comes out with an extremely pivotal round with 3 or 4 kills, I think, toward the end. So nicely done for Knights as they secure a second.
I can't believe they let Nico get a second kill. I am still not too sure what was going on with that, but regardless, the Knights looked good again on that attack, Manic. I am definitely feeling concern for Noble already. They're not feeling very in this match right now.
No, they're not. I mean, if you take Nico out with that double kill, you know, like the fact that he gets the first one on the recontest from Dino, that kind of surprises me. But then the second attempt, just, again, getting away with literal murder, unfortunately for Noble, they're not given anything from the round, and I believe Knights in the end kept 3 alive as well. So starting to see a trend here for the attacking side. We will go across toward Gym and Bedroom, which potentially might be the first round for Noble on the board. They're not really happy to reattempt too many sites. Well, in fact, they haven't reattempted anything in the last 2.
Clubhouse can be a good map to just constantly rotate between. Generally, teams are very comfortable on all 3 sites that you play. Bar still does not get much of a play, which I would love to see one day. The 3 that are played, they are always in heavy rotation, so it's definitely the map where you can just constantly switch between. Not too much of an issue. But I think this is a really important round for Noble right now. If they go down 3-0 in this defense half, I really would be worried about their ability to get back into the match. I'm just foreseeing them struggling with their attacks.
He's so hungry. Oh my word, nearly finds double, but it's 2 crosshairs you're trying to contest with there, Nico, and we've seen some insane things from you before, but that potentially might be too much for you to ask for very early on. They lose Nico, and a 4 versus 5 now. They've seen CCTVs clear, and Milo won't be able to do too much at the bottom of red stairs for now. He could, however, have an impact if Josh decides to fight, and wowzers, 2 kills off the board, 40 seconds gone, Raven. That is mental.
Right now, it just feels like Knights are going through the paces, and Noble are still getting out of the bed. I don't know, they just do not look at all like they're contesting this match right now. Nico maybe just getting a little too keen, and look, that is something that Noble have done before. They like to be a bit cheeky, try and get some of those trick plays off, but it just was no problem for the Knights. They were ready for that.
Yep.
Attackers have located a bomb.
So
The attacker's bomb diffuser has
control of cash as well. So just need to be careful with the bench. You don't want to get caught out trying to peek on the other side of that. But they'll just completely dismiss it and look to continue to press the site. But President taking down Dino. That could really turn things here for Noble. The defense that very much needs a round here. Some confidence to take in to the second half is vitally important.
That it is. So that was a good little 2-piece that they put together to make it a 3 versus 3. Josh just trying to take in through logistics. They've got a lot of control through construction as well. So a lot of pressure applied to Noble on site right now.
Josh coming around the corner. That's a lot of intel for Fisho Guy, who has stepped up massively before but will not be allowed to. Josh is playing incredibly well so far for Knights. Turpe just on the other side of the bathroom. The mirror window has been poked out, so it will give him a line as he looks to reattempt for the frag. He'll find one. It brings it back into the 1 versus 1. This is a huge round for Noble. They need this one. And Haywood, he just forces him off the line for now. And I'm sure he's had the intel that he's gone downstairs, Raven. Turpe needs to step up.
Yeah, and this plant spot is actually quite tricky, so not going to be able to wallbang it from below, and it's been confirmed. Dope's going to push through, not going to get the gunfight against Haywood. That's the Knights going up 3-0, Rob.
My word, the closest round we've had so far in this matchup, and Turpe just cannot outgun Haywood. 3 clean rounds for the Knights, which cannot, and I repeat, cannot be understated so far. From the way they've looked, it's been quite dangerous. Cracks for Noble starting to show. They are second on the standings and only by round difference. So you would have to say that this is, you know, I don't want to sell anything too early. It is a tale of two halves, and that we will need to see before we can really confirm anything. But I really want to highlight Josh's potential. Josh's not even just potential, but his ability so far in this matchup.
He's having a good one, that's for sure. He's at 6-1 over 3 rounds. And look, like you said, it is a tale of two halves, but the other thing is you can read form, or you can feel form. And a 3-0 can be a close 3-0, and just right now, it's not. Like, the first 2 rounds in particular were just 100% Knights. That last one, close. Yes, Noble started to fight back a little bit. So hopefully that is a sign that we're starting to get a Noble back into the game. And if they can bring this back to a 3-3 half, I would be not only impressed, but very hopeful for their potential result of the match.
Yep. I thought last round was going to obviously have a fair decent impact in terms of the game. So this, realistically, not now or never, but you really have to start to gain that momentum back. Obviously, 3 rounds left. There's still plenty of time to do it. You just don't want to let it get out of grasp too early. And you felt like Noble kind of had it in that round. They kind of had at least a look at a little bit of a cleaner opportunity. So potentially this could be it. This could be the round that they're looking for. And Knights have been quite courteous, if you will, with their opening frags.
The other thing to point out is Thatcher's not banned for a very rare occasion right now. So that is actually probably going to make attacks simpler, at least. I wouldn't say easier, but definitely simpler. Yeah. So, for example, Noble bringing the Kaid, you can just use the EMPs to deal with that. Looks like they are trying to get aggressive here. There's 2 on storage stairs right now, and 1 was creeping up main. So maybe Noble trying to get some mid-round aggression onto onto Knights.
They will just fall back to blue, and why not? You've had plenty of time to do so, a minute 30. And you would just imagine that Knights would have been able to drone that out decently quick, and you can see they've pretty much moved away from that. Josh, the only one still remaining there, just continuing to apply pressure while Noble being forced elsewhere into making action, as it does look like Knights have a fair, decent amount of control.
They do. And Noble have not done a massive amount to push them back at this stage. Just coming into this final minute, I think I am still definitely favoring the Knights to be able to get this attack, but you never know with Noble. Sometimes it's hard to be able to write them off. Knights being very cautious. Fisher Guy, a dangerous player in tight corners with the SAS shotgun.
Certainly so. I believe we've seen the trick. Church wall has been denied for now anyway. So he's just watching that just in case Fisher Guy decides something funky. Now finally, will we see the wall opened here for Knights? Will we see a little bit more pressure applied to Noble's hold? 5 players left. A little bit too late with that impact trick as Juicy manages to catch President. Fisher Guy, he will be able to hold the angles for at least a little while longer. Needs to be careful as he peeks around the corner. Milo evening things out with Josh falling down here. Only 10 seconds remain as Haywood, he's still making things work, but this might come down to Fisher Guy. You don't want to call upon him because he will answer. And as they come around the corner, he'll find one. Look to Moto. He sees the player, but backs away just out of time. Noble take the round. What a cluster toward the end, Raven.
That was quite the cluster and a little bit scary, but no, Fisher did very good again in that position. The Knights weren't able to get a very effective pinch on because Fisher was well covered by Milo, still in blue. So that's the other thing, is that the Knights were not able to get that blue control. So getting into Church becomes a bit trickier. Great defense in the end from Noble. Hopefully this starts a bit of a comeback into the game here, Matic.
would be the lifeline that they needed. And I don't use that sparingly. Well, I use that sparingly, sorry, because in all honesty, Noble really just haven't looked in it. You mentioned it last round, Raven, and we were saying, you know, that round was important, but it does feel as though there could be a glimmer of hope after that, but they will need to back this up. Obviously, it's not really something that needs to be pointed out. It is, of course, very vital that they continue this momentum and force, at the very least, a 4-2 half.
I think what they want to try and force. Sage has yet to make an impact on the scoreboard, but he's still been very good for the Knights. In particular, the last time they attacked this bomb site, his use of the Capital firebolts were very effective in clearing out the catwalk position and garage. So it's good by him, but definitely strange to see him still down at 0 kills. He's been one of the sharper players for the Knights in some of their games. And he's not finding the picks he would normally would on this map.
Potentially not, although it does feel as though Josh has had, well, has taken a lot of those away. So, you know, it's a 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. As long as they're winning the rounds, it feels as though they're making their money's worth. And like you said, that round prior, in a very similar defense for CCTV. What are you doing, Nico? You're hungry like the wolf, are you?
Again, yeah, I mean, he got picked on trying to jump out last time. Not going to happen this time. There's a couple of them running around. Milo's also just having a bit of a run in bar. But the Knights are just completely ignoring it. They've got CCTV wall open even quicker than last time. Going to put a lot of pressure back onto site for Noble.
They do look like they're going to be trying to open up garage now. Still needs to deal with those mute jammers on the other side. And as we start to open things up, it is going to be the double. Rather, just the cheeky angle at the top of the left side. Sage does see 2 players running back from Lounge. Turpe looking for that support. At 30, and again, Knights, it does feel like they've made a lot of progress so far, but still plenty more to do, as there's not one player taken off the board. Derpe more aggressive this time, and we like to see that. He'll back off the angle, and he'll stay alive. That could be massive, as now they can hold garage a little bit more aggressively on that.
Yeah, managed to survive the firebolts at least. Nico again down in oil pit. Surely the Knights are going to check for it this time. I don't foresee it working again. Derpe can play this pretty patient if he wants to. He has the upper hand. I wouldn't be peeking it too much, that's for sure.
He's burning through time. Well, sorry, not enough time. It's Dino who catches him from bikes there, so potentially that could have been a bigger impact. Milo taking down Nino. This is now starting to claw back a little bit more for Noble. However, with Milo so low, this is quite dangerous. Nico still tries to hold those garage stairs. Doesn't look like anyone's really looking to play from there either, as Sage, he sticks that plant, Raven.
Yeah, Sage is sticking the plant down in some smoke as well. So with 4 players up, this is going to be a solid post plant for the Knights. All up to Fisher Guy in a 1 versus 3. He's going to try a retake, but no. Sage is going to close that out for the Knights. They're going to go up to a 4-1 lead.
That was just as convincing as the first time they attacked CCTV. And on the final round of the half, we are asking Noble to force this to a 4-2. It's, at the very least, will give them room to breathe. The 5-1, it does feel like, could potentially be the demise. We do head to gym and bedroom for this last round on the defensive side for Noble, Raven.
Yep, their fate held in gym bedroom right now. If this goes to a 5-1 lead in favor of Knights, I am definitely concerned for Noble, but we'll reserve that for the second half right now. It's all about them winning this defense. Last time, it did come down to that 1v1. Derpe almost securing it, but not quite. Hopefully they can hold some confidence in that, and maybe it will be enough to get them across the line.
It is a very important part to note that it was a much closer round. Actually, in all fairness, the closest round even I would say even with the round that they won, that didn't feel as close as what that one with Derpe and the 1v1 felt like. It was just mental toward the end of that round that Noble were able to win down in Church. So
10 seconds left.
this is the time that we need to see Noble step up,
5 seconds to go.
and they're not shy of doing so either.
Attackers objective
Roster
is to
that
locate a
has
bomb and defuse it.
pushed some of the best teams to their limits, including Wildcard, including this season, not only pushing them to their limits, but defeating them at their limits. As Knights all approach from the garage and CCTV side.
Nico still sticking quite the roam in stock right now. Looks like Josh's drone has spotted him out. He's going to shoot that and run straight past some pre-fire too. So they're pretty lucky not to have gotten tagged up in the engagement. Knights wasting no time to get CCTV wall open so that they can start to put a lot of pressure in towards Cash.
Milo, this time around, was caught at the bottom of Red Stairs, as well as Nico going for that ambitious peek from storage.
Drop the diffuser.
They're still pretty happy to stay across there and just waste these drones from Knights, ensuring that at the very least they have to continue to re-drone or force them out another way. And
Attackers bomb diffuser
look
has
at this
been
from
dropped.
President. And thought potentially he might have gone with Milo as well, doubled up, but Nico's all the way underneath. What is he going to find? What is he going to catch out here? Could he be pivotal in finding an opening?
There's a player that was on the balcony as well, but couldn't quite see it. Looked like Knights are ready for his little punch holes, so lucky again to still be alive is Nico. Milo has made his way back to site, but he's going to die to a nice tight angle from Juicy. It's the Thermite. They can't get past this mirror. Aggressive peek from Derpe. Jeepers. That's not going to be ever expected from Juicy. That does make it a 4 versus 4.
Swing, baby, swing. That
Attackers recover the
is
diffuser.
just, you love and hate to see it at the same time. Sage now applying a little bit more pressure from the balcony as Dino has yet another player by his side. Fisher, will he be forced off the angle here? It doesn't look like that's going to spread far enough. Hanging out, they are stuck in cash, 50 seconds left. They can force Fisher out here if they can find the kill. Potentially this may put a little bit more pressure on Noble.
They're doing everything they can to push him out as well. He's absolutely pinched in this corner, his Fisher guy. Hatch drop goes to Sage and not going to actually lock the kill out yet though. Fisher is still in this corner alive. 2 players around, he gets the down and the finish, but it is refragged. 20 seconds though, Manic in a 3 versus 3. It's going to be a tough finish.
That it is. Nico now from main stairs. He has to hold tight. He'll see the gun. He'll pre-fire. He needs to back away. Looks as though President was there as well. This plant should go down. Can they deny it? That's the question. Derpe steps up massively in this round. He needs to do so as well, as Sage is just caught in all sorts. And it will be a second round, a saving grace here for Noble as we head to the second half, Raiden.
Disabled by defenders.
Yeah, very good on the retake was Noble. Pittsburgh Knights just not quite having enough control. Didn't quite see where Derpe ended up coming from, but I think he was really the linchpin for Noble to stay in that. So well played from Derpe. Let's see what they can do on the attack here. I was already skeptical about how these might go for Noble. They started to pick up a bit of form, or a bit of steam coming into the half. So let's see what they've got in store for us.
Going to add that I couldn't imagine we wouldn't see a round without Thatcher on that attacking side, but still a chance here. I think we will see the IQ being brought instead. Thoughts on not picking? Okay. Raven, what are your thoughts?
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I feel like this is just such a Noble lineup. Just based on the fact that Nico is on the fuse.
Yeah.
So to come back to those bans, the buck is something that Nico in particular has been playing a lot of, and that Noble have leaned on a bit in the way that they've dealt soft destruction with their attacks. And then you would assume that the fallback to that is Sledge, but that was already banned by Noble. So it does mean that they've had to get a little bit innovative here. Not in the way I'd expected, though, completely honest. Bringing the fuse is not a common pick at all. Probably is going to be helpful for Kitchen clearing out from the floor, but
Yep.
it's so risky. You could just get C4'd quite easily.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
We're seeing toward the end there. Dino dropping one of the cams just underneath the staircase of bar, so they will get a little bit more vision. At least when they do eventually go for that hatch. I mean, if they do, I couldn't imagine they're not going to at least apply some of that pressure. Nico clearing out that top floor roam. That drone obviously giving a lot of information as to who came up main stairs and who didn't. And it looks like he's pretty confident that no one did. How's the line, umpire?
There's a great line of sight from Nico. Exactly what we'd expect from him to find a nice angle onto a rotate. There's something that they can come back and use. Pretty good progress from Noble. Not wasting too much time at all to push through the map and obtain control. They have made things, I would almost say, unnecessarily complicated. Like, they do have, like you said, the Thatcher is available right now. But they've elected to bring Maverick instead, and they're going to just Maverick these hatches open. Which isn't so bad. Derpe is a great Maverick. He's pretty efficient with it. It's not going to take a whole lot of extra time, but it's just not as simple.
There is obviously something to note with no mute or secondary bandit on the board. If those Kaid, if the electrical, are on the hatches, nothing to save the walls. So
Good point.
potentially it's something they don't need to worry about necessarily in bringing the Thatcher or the IQ. Nico, however, might just need to be very careful of that fresh haircut that they're looking to give him.
And again, there's the Valkyrie below him with the C4, so he's not going to be able to safely place these cluster charges. And that's the thing. C4 does come out, it misses, so now's his chance. He will be able to start placing these. But they did lose a player in the process. It was Fisher guy on the Zofia at that. So not going to be easy. And there it is. The vulnerability of that animation is severe. Finished off with the Pokeball, and the Knights are looking pretty good in this first defense.
Oh, that would have been an extremely tight angle for Juicy to hit there. There you can see it, a pixel in it, and he's been able to do it. President now being able to find one, gives him an opportunity. Juicy wasn't able to fully deny it. I mean, that's pretty much all he needed to do. In fact, wasting even further time for Noble. Milo getting caught in all sorts of fire, now has to back away. It's a 2 versus 4, Raven. Is this even possible?
I mean, it can be possible. Stranger things have happened before. With 20 seconds to go, they're going to have to be able to get in. Great pre-fire from President. Notes by hitting the deck. It's Josh who's been down, so all of a sudden, Manic, it's a 2 versus 2. They got 10 seconds. Milo going for the plant. Nico, President, in fact, has to cover. Can't quite cover it in time. In fact, Noble will close out the rounds. I thought that went the other way. Unbelievable that they just brought that back.
I mean, seconds in it. Quite literal seconds. If President doesn't hit that shot, he has to either stick it or just hope that the pistol is enough. My goodness. 2 versus 4, Raven. They had everything open that they needed there, Noble. And President steps up when he's called upon. A big misstep for Knights there that could cost them in the later parts of this match, should it even get there. But definitely something you could brush off and continue on with.
It's a great point. They could have been up 5-2 right now. That round, I cannot believe was not theirs, honestly. They had just had so much control. There was only way Noble were getting into sight, and that was through that church rotate. So, I'm gobsmacked. But
Yep.
I've got to put credit onto President. He did a fantastic job, honestly. He hit some huge shots in that situation. And we had put pressure on him in previous playdays, previous weeks, that maybe he was struggling to fit in. But Wednesday, he had quite a solid game, and he's playing really well today.
Yep. Definitely a great shot on the player from Blue, and then to back it up,
10 seconds
it just
to go.
continues. I mean, was that President with all 4 kills there?
5 seconds to go.
I think
actually
it was,
think
honestly.
Yeah, I think it was. That is absolutely maddening.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
Talk about leaning on a player for a round. There are not many cases where you would pick Noble to take that. But President really did have other things in mind, as Nico just being aware of potentially any cams being thrown out.
And gone a pretty consistent lineup for Noble, but they have not stuck the fuse, which I mean, I'm really not surprised. I think the Ying is a great option because this is the cluster charges can be used in a few different ways. Forcing your way into sight, clearing utility is a great way to use Candela because those many little flashbangs that come off can clear a lot of utility pretty quick and be a total pain in the butt. So I think this is going to be an interesting round to see how Nico does utilize this Ying.
Yep. Explosive or slow and steady wins the race. Wait and see. Fisho for now will catch at least one of Valk's cams. Still being very cautious of that run out, as they pretty much leave it all without any attention for now. Sage, what will he decide to do? Come up red as now Nobles start to take from Jacuzzi.
Yeah, quite swiftly. 3 of them all through that same rotate. They know that they've got control up to construction, so very important map control to take swiftly so that it's not retaken by the defense. And this is good pacing too. They're making sure they're not getting too far ahead. President obviously very keen to get in there, but he stopped and waited for his teammates to be in position. So that's great to see.
Dino obviously with the support of that Banshee. He will be forced back off the top of that flash. And Milo starting to open up construction wall as well. They have a lot of different avenues they can attack from now. I still think Garage has been untouched for the most part. From Noble, how does Dino win that? At least it's traded. But my word, that could have been a serious problem had it gone to a 5 versus 4 with Dino on a peak like that. And now it looks like they might start to come in, Raven.
Yep, looks like they are going to utilize this Ying for the push. That C4 is going to have a bit of a stall. Nico goes through and starts this plant in the smoke. Bit of a bait though. Hayward is going to find one. So again, it's a 4 versus 2 situation. Brought to 2v2 again, Rob. 1 versus 2. What is happening to the Knights right now?
Oh, not back-to-back rounds. Hayward, though, he might actually give his team the chance here.
10 seconds remaining.
Nico, he sticks it. Hayward tries to fire through the wall. He can't find anything, but he'll close it out in a 1 versus 2 for a triple kill. It was down from another 2v4, Raven. What is going on in this match?
Defenders disabled the
Has been all kinds of back and forth, but that was a good clutch from Hayward because Noble were rolling. Nico in particular, he was just not stopping. So look, that was unbelievable, honestly. Hayward in that final kill as well, that just looked like he was about to pre-fire it. It just looked like a pre-fire. It just happened to hit Nico, so he's like, oh, okay, all good.
15 seconds to go.
Oh, that's a pop of the watermelon. See you later, Derpate.
10 seconds.
I think I would actually hard agree with you on this. Let's...
Attackers need to protect the diffuser.
Oh!
It's either sharp reaction time where he was just literally about to click as Nico crossed.
Oh, wow. That is a round that Noble will go begging for as Knights do push on. I will note once again that this map has been played twice by these rosters. So once in 6 Masters and once in the 6 Masters playoffs. Of course, this is only against each other. I want to make sure that you understand. And both of those maps went 8-7 in overtime in favor of Noble. So there is still a very much strong belief that this could take us all the way, Raven. That round in particular might have secured it, but now it's going to be a little bit more of an uphill battle for Noble, playing a little bit of catch up after those first 3 rounds on their defensive side.
5 seconds left before
They have kept themselves in the game.
It has been just quite a weird one. I mean, like, it feels like it's so much more even right now. But then I go to correct myself and I just think, hang on. Like, Knights have been up 4 versus 2 within the last 30 seconds, the last 2 rounds. And just somehow Noble are clawing it back. So my gut feeling tells me that the Knights are still pretty in control of the game, but Noble just keep clawing these opportunities out of nowhere. And I think that's the danger right now in this match, is that if the Knights don't tighten up and stop that from happening, yeah, we could definitely be seeing overtime.
It's a very good point you make. I'm thinking about all the positives for Noble and not so much the downside for Knights. Quite literally the kinks in their armor. And starting off, Noble this time around doesn't feel as explosive in the first parts of the round anyway. They have done very well in opening up the rounds though, you must say, Raven. Not wasting a hell of a lot of time in opening walls, hatches, whatever it may be. I'm pretty happy to do it somewhat early.
Quite efficient. Look at this. Kitchen has just been absolutely shredded, and Nico gets stoned again by Juicy. Unbelievable. That pixel angle has just been so deadly.
Oh, you do hate to see it for Noble. And Nico has had no luck on the fuse either of these rounds. Oh boy. Juicy has made his money's worth there. A very nice cam from Dino. Giving a lot of intel to Knights. It looks like that has gone undetected. And there's the C4. Milo lucky to be alive after that, Raven.
So low, and he just had the absolute deer in headlights moment in the hallway, like, oh my god, I almost died. But he's managed to hang in. 50 seconds to go though, the Knights firmly in control. Looks like Noble are going to stack in down main stairs. Oh, great shot from President. This was the round that President went absolutely ham and clutched that 2v4 for Noble. So, I don't know, will Lightning strike twice?
Smoke screen out.
Very good question. That ADS though could potentially be quite the impactful play here, as no more smokes on the side of President, so they need to be careful. Not only the long hallway, as they make their way around the corner. It was the back of Armory that managed to catch them out last time as well. President, he'll push on here with Josh taking down Fisho Guy. It looks like it's going to be a Knights round, and by my golly gosh, that's exactly what it is, Raven. A very clean shutout from the defensive side.
Yeah, I feel like this is just going to be... That was a great highlight of just the complicated decisions that Noble have given themselves. Nico on this fuse has not worked out either time. Knights are just all over him when he's in kitchen. And then they're not bringing this Thatcher to make their hard breach openings easy. Like, they had an electrified church wall with 20 seconds to go. If they had EMPs in hand, they had an ace that still has Selma charges. So they could have created a lot of more opportunities for themselves. I think they're making it so much harder than it needs to be, Manic.
And we don't see the Thatcher, and we don't see the Thermite this time around either. As we head to the second floor for gym and bedroom, what could be the last round in this top of the table clash. Knights have just looked better from start to finish, A to Z. You would never have questioned them if you'd seen this performance.
No, look, Knights have definitely felt like the better team. It's like I was saying before, Noble have clawed their way back, but they've just been from in really strange finishes to rounds, quite frankly. Like 4 versus 2 disadvantages that they've managed to pull around. I think that last round was a great example of the Knights just being tighter on it. There was just no opportunity at all for Noble to do anything but funnel through those doorways. And Knights were ready for that. So as long as they get that shutout kind of style again, I don't see Noble being able to at least get it back to overtime.
It definitely does not feel as though that is a possibility, and we'll still have to wait and see. Noble have done some pretty crazy things so far in this matchup, and this would be nothing short of it. Terp looking to open up the wall. Okay, that is quite a dangerous little mark to begin with, but I believe he did get that Electro Claw, and it will allow for the CCTV wall to be opened with Dino and Josh both holding from top of Red and Cash.
think Nico, Derpe, sorry, was a bit lucky there to not be even more damaged, but good for Noble. Means they can at least continue with 5 players on their attack. Nico's gone below here in the stock room, so he's ready to try and flush out some of these players in cash. I'd say he's just waiting for a teammate to be able to pinch, and that may be Fisher Guy as he starts to push up through the catwalk in towards CCTV.
Very fast as well. Potentially this could be the exact pinch that Noble need for this round. Not sure how much information they actually have on that CCTV hold. We'd have to say with the way they were setting up, they knew a fair bit, but they haven't actually gone for it. They've backed away. Show Guy opting to take that Claymore and decide to place it outside of Garage. Sturpe now looking to bait. I guess that's one way of doing it.
It's good use of smoke as well. I think it's totally worth doing because it's already going to take quite a bit of time for Noble to be able to open this up as a Maverick. And the longer that is held off, the more comfortable sight will be for Knights. So great use of the smoke babes there. Last one's not going to hit the mark, it looks like. So Derpe is going to be able to finish off this wall. Coming into this final minute, though, it's just a similar story where Noble don't quite have enough done, in my opinion, to be able to get something comfortable down. It feels like it's going to be that kind of explosive finish again.
I have to concur with that. Nico's still aware that there is one downstairs. Haywood just holds tight on the line to bar. 30 seconds in this, Raven. What do Noble need to do right now to get themselves ahead? It feels like they haven't, apart from Jacuzzi Wall, they don't have a lot of control. Oh my word.
Oh.
Not good.
Well, nope. That's not going to help. 15 seconds to go. They don't have control. They're down a man, Rob. They need this round to hold it onto the map. Haywood's going to step up and get one as Josh follows on. It's all falling apart for Noble now. It looks like this is going to be a Knights map. Fisher Guy only has a second to get to the site, but no. He is shut down. The Knights too strong for Noble. They close this one out in dominant fashion.
The only way to explain that, Knights have well and truly dismissed any thought of Noble being in that top position. Knights press on and maintain the top of the ladder. They are pushing for that first place finish at the end of the season. They still have Wild Card, Okami, and Rhythm. Look at that from Haywood, though. 14 kills.
Yep.
I mean, such a convincing result and performance from Knights, but do we poke the question to Noble's side, Raven? Was it the play from Knights, or was it the down play from Noble that really led to that?
I mean, a bit of both. It just felt like the Knights looked so good tonight, but also Noble looked a little bit out of sorts. Hard to say whether they were really out of form or just completely outplayed, but from my perspective, it looked like they were never really in this game. Personally, I felt like this really should have just been a 7-1. Two rounds, they got those 2v4 situations, which fantastic, especially the one that President got. Like, great display of skill, but preceding that was not very good attacks. So, yeah, a bit skeptical in general about how Noble have performed in this match.
And that, again, is not to take away from Knights. They obviously had
not, no.
some very, very good rounds there. And I think the first three really kickstarted us off on the way that's, I don't think really any of us expected, right? It was 3 rounds that were extremely convincing from Knights, and it really just set the tone for the entire match. And Noble, unfortunately, it never felt like they had a foot in that game.
Yeah, they lost the first 3 rounds in a row, and then it never really got anywhere after that. They started to kind of stay in it, but only just. Either way, the Knights just felt just too strong the whole game.
Yep. It was very It's very convincing, and with that, Knights, I think, have kind of solidified their placing in this season anyway. Obviously, both teams realistically should be making playoffs. I don't really know if there's a world in which they can't, but regardless, I think with Elevate, LFO, Ferox, and now Noble dismantled by Knights, I think that they're going on to the back end of this season. You know, Wildcard, Akami, and Rhythm are left for those, just for Knights, obviously. And to be honest, I can see them really winning 2 of those 3 matches. Wildcard, I think, will be a really great test for Knights at this point.
Yeah, also a bit of a benchmark, because I mean, Wildcard was the obstacle they couldn't get over in last season in Six Masters. Right now, I honestly would be probably tipping the Knights in that game. The Knights have just looked like they're having a much stronger season so far. Wildcard have looked a bit shaky. Knights have been challenged. I mean, they did have a 7-5 with Elevate, for example. They had a 7-5 last week as well with, I think it was Ferox.
Yep.
So there's been gaps there, but overall it just feels like this is feeling like Knights season. Wouldn't be too surprised if they end up finishing on the top.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to get to hear from Picnic and get his thoughts on how that match went. Obviously, quite a banger for you guys, all things considered. Picnic, it's good to see you, my friend. Very quickly, I want to jump straight into the questions here. Sledge was banned by Noble, and you guys banned Buck. Was that to kind of prevent Nico from a lot of those longer lines, if you will?
Yeah, definitely. We definitely wanted to target ban Nico. Like, we know he knows his angles. He's very comfortable on Buck, and we just felt like taking them to Clubhouse as well. We wanted to take them to a map that's structured and then take away any sort of comfortability. So banning Buck and Wamai just forced them to try and adapt, and that's really what we wanted to do.
Yeah, look, it looked like it worked really well. We saw Noble switching up a lot of attack choices for their operators, and that wasn't really working out for them. I do want to speak broadly. Coming into the season, was first place what you guys were realistically aiming for yourself? Because right now that seems to be where you are tracking towards.
Yeah, definitely. First, I don't know why Dino said second, the other interview. We definitely want first place. We got second in mini major, and I've always wanted to go forward. I hate taking steps back or placing in the same spot. I always want to go forward. So I definitely want to be hitting first with this season.
For sure. Now, with that being said, Wildcard is the next hurdle, and that is next Wednesday. Very quickly, are you guys prepared for that matchup, and how are you feeling like you're going to stack up against them?
I'm very confident. I've been doing a lot of preparation, looking at their VODs, and I think we understand their weaknesses, and we think we know how to exploit them. So we're very confident.
That is going to be a spicy one, my friend. Congratulations on your victory today. Very well earned, very well deserved. And we will see you next week for that banger of a matchup.
All right, thank you. See ya.
That's interesting. That's spicy. He's feeling confident going into the game against Wildcard. Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Look, I wouldn't blame them. They are looking very strong at the moment. Wildcard have had their issues. They lost to Noble. They had a very close overtime game against Rhythm just on Wednesday. There are things about Wildcard that don't seem overly convincing right now. I mean, we are still yet to see them tonight, so maybe later they'll prove me wrong. But right now, I just feel like the Knights should feel confident in that matchup.
Without a doubt. And I think that it's being reiterated through this season, and of course through their Six Masters playoffs and the likes of that. They've really started to come into their own, and this is a great chance for them to press toward the end of this season and potentially take it to, like we're saying, a wild card that has been a little bit shaky. And this is really the best first step that they could have taken in doing so. But looking to Noble now, Raven, before we jump into that interview, Akami, Rhythm, and Elevate are left for them. Do we still see them finishing in that top 2, or is there still potentially another storyline for us to tell?
I mean, they could slip out of top 2. They need to not play like they did tonight, because there was a lot of issues that I saw tonight that they won't be able to maintain a top spot like that if they aren't fixing them. They've definitely still got some challenges as well, so I don't see them getting a clean finish to the season. I still think they'll finish top 4, because they have had a great season, and in their finest form, they really are one of the top teams. But tonight was definitely shakier than I was ever expecting from Noble.
Yeah, Beautiful. Well, we get to hear from Fisher Guy, the man himself. Let's have a chat to him. Let's have a bit of a thought. It's good to see you, Fisher Guy, as always. I would like to start off by asking just a very basic question. With Fuse being taken with Nico and the Thatcher being left in, were you guys expecting Thatcher to be left on the board? Obviously, you didn't ban him yourself. And if so, was there a reason why you didn't tend to lean on that at all?
So yeah, we were expecting Knights to do a target ban, so we're expecting like an ace ban or a target ban onto Nico. So not really surprised there. The Fuse pick was to replace the vertical pressure that Nico's buck has, especially on Armory. So yeah, it was just kind of a substitute there.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just try and get into it. What really went wrong for you guys tonight? I didn't feel like you were particularly in the game for a lot of the match. So was there some other stuff going on that was the big issue?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely out of it tonight. Clubhouse, we're used to a lot of teams, banning it against us so far, and we weren't really expecting Knights to take us to it. But yeah, we played over aggressive early rounds and took too many, individual gunfights and got punished for it.
Well, I would say that this is really the first and only stumble you've had for the season so far, so I think that that's something you can hold your head to. You have Akami next Wednesday. Do you have any thoughts about the team that is Akami heading into it?
I mean, we're gonna, prep the best we can for them. Obviously, they haven't been performing, as good as last season, but, definitely still big threats to worry about.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think you maintain the second position at the moment, so we can hold on to hope for that we're still in the top two. But regardless, I believe you guys have made playoffs by now. So thank you very much for joining us, Fisher Guy, and we'll see you next week, my dude.
Thank you.
Yep. I think that, again, most of these interviews, we're getting a good bit of insight there. Fisher Guy clearly not happy with the performance tonight, clearly saying that there are issues and they do still have to address them toward the end of the season and prepare for what will be playoffs, Raven.
Yeah, and it was really interesting to point out that they haven't been playing Clubhouse officially a whole lot because it's usually banned against them. So they weren't expecting it to get through. That definitely can make quite a big difference if it's something that's a little bit out of left field with the veto. It can really shift your mindset coming in, so that could explain why it felt like there was a real slow start to the way Noble were playing. So I thought that was some great insight.
Certainly was, and that will conclude our second match. We have 2 matches to go. Don't go anywhere after the break. It's Rhythm and Ferox.